If you could deport people who supported like more immigration and leftist policies, do
If
you
I
think
were in
that would
charge, there
work?
wouldn't be any voting. Let's just get that straight. We're talking about the reality that we're working with. And in my view, deporting people that are citizens, that's just never going to happen. But
Okay, never
drastically
gonna
limiting
happen.
immigration, I think that is in the cards.
Okay, I would contest the same way that you say deporting people who are citizens was never going to happen. I think if we're going at it from a purely practical standpoint, I don't think, this, complete moratorium on immigration would
Well,
happen
then we
either.
just disagree on that.
But
But there's no
okay,
inconsistency.
but then if we get down to this idea, I guess so if we're doing this for more of a thought experiment purpose and less for, a feasibility legality purpose, if you were allowed to, if you were supreme dictator Nick Fuentes of America, would you want to remove necessarily people who supported
I
policies
don't
that
debate
you felt
hypotheticals.
were
I
to a
think that's
detriment?
ridiculous.
You think that's ridiculous?
I'm not interested in hypotheticals.
Well,
Well, hypotheticals
hypotheticals.
allow us to like judge your like logical train of thought.
Doy.
Like
Oh, really? No. I think it's
Yeah.
uninteresting, and I think it's unimportant what I would do, because if
Hypotheticals
I
are
if I were in
used
charge,
to
if I
test
were
your
in charge,
logical
things would be
consistency.
so drastically different. And if we're talking about the hypothetical, I would have to assess our security posture, and like the military and the police, and there would be a
Okay,
lot
I'm
of
interested in
things.
hearing all about that.
Yeah, yeah. We're just interested. I don't understand why we can't argue with the facts. What is? Let me just ask you straight up. What are you getting at with a question like that? I'm just curious. I'm just
What am I
wondering.
getting at? I'm
What are you getting
genuinely
at?
curious if you
What
have any
hypothetically I would
objection.
do if I ran the country? That sounds like remarkably irrelevant for the debate we're
Well,
in.
no, it's not remarkably irrelevant because you're pushing for policies that would support your type of ideology being in the White House.
This has nothing to do with
Ideally,
ideology.
correct?
This has nothing to do with ideology.
Well,
And
no,
we're
but
we're
you would
talking about
want
policy.
people
We're
who
talking about issues. We're talking
yes.
about policy.
So you would want your policies to be
Yeah, and
in
my policy is not removing people that are citizens. So
okay. So you would never support that type of policy.
no.
Okay.
hey, that's like we just need to
Okay.
understand like we're gonna go in a policy like debate, right? Which is what this
Yeah.
is, right?
Let's
It's
bet.
about
Let's
policy.
just. You're just baiting me. I mean, let's just not.
No,
Let's
it's
just
it's
stop
not
pretending that
baiting
you're
at all,
baiting.
Nick.
You could do this thing and say, oh no, I'm not asking a leading question. Oh no.
I'm
I'm
not.
I'm not
Well, no,
possibly
I'm
implying
I'm
How is
anything.
that
genuinely
leading in it?
wondering.
You're
Nick,
baiting.
Nick,
You're
come on,
baiting.
bro.
You
Nick,
you
You're
said
Nick.
making
you wouldn't
assumptions.
remove people who are legal citizens because they're legal citizens.
Yeah,
You see how
correct.
that's circular.
Because that is against the law.
But
You
okay,
legally
well,
cannot do
laws
that.
stem from morals. You want to make
That is
immigration
incoherent,
illegal. You
what
want
you're
to
saying
change
right
the
now.
law
And you're
based
asking a
on
leading question
it's
based
not a
on
leading
something that I'm not
question.
saying. We're talking about millions of people coming here every year. And you're
Okay.
asking me questions about removing
Because
citizens because
because
they don't vote a certain way. I'm in
yes,
favor
because
of
you're worried about
stopping
how the
I'm in
people
favor of
coming here and how they
stopping
vote.
this demographic transformation. And that's it. And that's it. Okay?
What I'm
Are you
trying
an
to
immigrant, by the way? Just out of
am
curiosity.
I an
What's
immigrant?
what's
No.
your
I
background?
mean
What's
I
your
mean
background?
we're all immigrants, but I
What's
mean
your background?
what's
I'm
my
just wondering.
background? I am German and Irish and Scottish.
Okay, so then why? So what's your problem? You think that we're going to create a great nation out of all these people throughout the world? You think that it's going to be the same nation? Let me just start asking you questions. You
You
think we
you
can
can ask me
replace?
questions. I'd be happy to answer them.
You think we can replace this population with a different population from another race from other
Replace. What do you
countries?
mean by replace?
You know what replace means?
Well, yeah, well, no, I want to know specifically. You're talking about like
All
bringing
right,
in other types of people that would necessarily not directly be identical
you
to our
understand what I'm
current
saying. You understand what I'm
demographic.
saying. So, do you think that we can replace this population with a different population and get the same outcome?
To an extent, assimilation, yes. Replacement and assimilation are different, in my opinion. I believe that America is not specific to any type of race or group of people.
Really?
I think
I don't know.
America
I
is
don't
a
know if you've
shared. I
answered
think
this
America
question.
is a shared set of values.
I think that's bullshit. And I think that, every
Okay.
other country in the world isn't like that. I think that every other country in the
Well,
world isn't
well,
like that.
yes, every other country is not like that
And
because
I
they're not
think that
America.
America is no different. And I think that the
I think
values
America.
America expresses are unique and exclusive to the people
Yes.
that generated them. Why
I
is it
don't know
that
if
no
you've
other
been.
country in the world has done similarly? Why is it that Haiti got independence around the same time that we did, and they are the poorest and one of the worst countries in the world? And the same can be said about all the Central and South American countries too. Why would
because
that be the
because when
case?
Because
when
wait, wait,
French
wait, wait, wait,
color
wait,
when
wait. If you're
French
gonna bring up Haiti, you have to understand that these people that revolted weren't like the Americans that revolted. What's their names? Like like the founding fathers, right? Like these, like the people in Haiti were genuine slaves. Like it was a slave revolt. It was not a revolt of the populace, right? Like saying, oh, they got their independence around the same time discounts anything. America's a larger country when we got independence. We were like literally the state of New York is probably just as large
They
as
eat mud. They eat mud. They eat
What?
mud
Yeah,
in
guess
Haiti.
why? Because when French colonized them, they would literally like exploit the
They
land
eat
and
mud.
what
They
For
and
eat
when
sure.
mud.
Every
and no,
rationalization
let
of the
me
book.
finish. Let me finish. And when the Haitians revolted, when the Haitian slaves revolted, the land was already like so bad because the French were using it all up.
Like your only
And that
argumentation for
happened
the
in
idea that they
every
were slaves.
single sub-Saharan
Nick,
African country.
okay, what?
Yeah, it's called
The same,
dividing the
the
African
same
cake.
sub-Saharan. Okay, let's go to Algeria, right? My home country, right?
Oh,
This
here
is
we
a
go.
country that you're talking about that has been literally like the best definition of it would be raped and pillaged by the French, right? You're talking about like they took our resources, they cut down all the trees that we had, which led to a high desertification. They used our minimal arable land, which we had not much of, right? And they overused it, overfarmed it, right? They built roads and built communities, right? Which was great, but it was only for them, right? It was only for the elite French and the elite French Jews that were there, right? And the elite French in general, right? Like this idea of saying, oh, they eat mud, they eat mud, they eat mud. All you're doing, Nick, is just screaming something for your fan base. When in reality, guess what?
I'm
You
not
haven't been
screaming
able
it
to
for my
say.
fan base. It's not. That's
Which
you're totally missing the point. You're
which in
totally missing the
reality,
point.
okay,
You don't live
then
in
tell me.
reality. You live in the
Then
reality where we're going to bring in people from mud countries and they're going to land on the moon.
mud
What a
countries.
joke.
Why are they mud countries?
Because they eat
Nick,
why are
fucking
they
mud
mud
and they
countries?
live in mud. They live in
Why
squalor,
are they
and
mud
that's a
countries? Why are
difference.
they mud countries?
Nick,
They're
Nick,
mud
Nick, have
countries
you ever
because
been
they've
there?
always been mud countries. They were mud countries when we got into the interior of Africa in the 19th century. They didn't have a written language. They didn't have a two-story building. They hadn't discovered the wheel. And you think that's what all the oppression they experienced
Okay, then what about
without
the Arabs?
European
Yeah, if you've
contact?
never seen a two-story
Nick, what
building, I
about the
doubt you'll be
Arabs?
able to build
Nick,
one.
Nick, when you look at time, do you know the number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? You know those numbers? Do you know what they're called?
Yeah, I understand. I understand
Yeah,
the
exactly.
proud
Arabic
Arabic
numerals, right?
history.
Right?
Right.
Like
Tell me about the
saying,
Islamic Golden Age.
yeah, the Islamic Golden Age. Yeah. The House of
Right.
Babylon, the House of
Right.
Wisdom, right?
Yeah, and now they don't shit in
The
toilets, so what does that say?
Nick, what about the most infamous library? Do you think it's in Berlin or it's in Paris? Do you know where the most infamous library of
Where?
history is?
Tell me where it is.
Alexandria, Egypt, before it was
Wow.
burned down.
Wait. Alexandria, Egypt. You're gonna take credit for Alexandria. Who is Alexandria named after? Do you know?
It was after it was named. That's beside
I think
the
that
point.
was
What are
before.
you
I think that
on
was
about?
before the Arabs got there. Just saying. I think Egypt
Are you talking
existed
about
before the
Alexander the
Arabs.
Great?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
he's
that
talking about
existed
Alexander the
Well,
before
I
Great.
mean, he
Egypt.
was
Alexander
gay,
the
so
Great
I don't
renamed
know.
Alexander the
Wait,
Great
talk about
renamed
him.
it after he burned down the library there. What
Well,
are you
point
on
being,
about?
you're trying to take credit. This is worse than we was Kangs.
what about one of the richest empires in human
The
history, the
Mali
Mali
Empire.
Empire. The
Oh,
Mali
give me
Empire
a
was
break. That is the biggest crock of
the
shit.
richest man
The
came
historiography
from
on that is so
Africa.
weak. That is the biggest African cope.
The
I'm sure that
richest
came out of
man
some black
came from
studies
Africa,
department
my guy.
25 years
The
ago.
richest man in
Bunch
history
of
came
bullshit.
from
Yeah,
Africa.
Mansa Musa, give me a break.
I'm
They were
trying.
so rich.
I'm
That's why.
genuinely
That's
trying
why
to understand your
they're
point.
they don't have a wheel, right?
Nick. So far, I'm trying to understand your point here, but all you've been saying is, "Oh, give me
You're
a
not
break."
trying to
Oh, come
understand.
on,
You're
man.
not trying to.
Like,
You're not trying to understand.
No,
Oh,
MJ
kick Dylan
honestly is trying to
Klebold.
understand everything.
He's
Trust
showing
me.
porn.
Yeah,
Kick Dylan Klebold or
Yeah,
whatever.
just kick him. Kick
Porn,
him.
kick him.
Who are we?
Why is
Who are we
Corn
kicking?
not doing this?
Dylan
Corn's
Alexandria. Mansa Musa. Give me what a cope.
Yo, give me coast.
Dude,
What a-
man,
we was
dude,
Kangs. We
okay,
was
Dude, he was
Kangs.
rich. He
Nah,
was rich
man,
when he
we was
went
Kangs,
when he
man.
went when he
When
went
he
to the
went to
Middle
Venice,
East.
I
he
got all
literally
the
spent
golden
so much
shit.
money, he caused runaway inflation in the city for 5
According
years.
to whom?
That is
According
by
to whom?
according to the
Historical
historians of Venice that
records.
wrote
Yeah,
about
right.
it for the next like
All right,
10
right.
years.
I'm sure the historiography on that is perfectly sound.
I'm sure.
right?
How do you know, Nick? Like what?
Because that's
What do you
such
think
because
these claims
because
are
all
from?
that stuff this is because you guys don't get it. All of that stuff is just a giant cope. The idea, because the idea is absurd on its face that you would have the richest man in the world. Oh, he was so rich, he crashed the
Because it's
economy. So
unfathomable
rich
to
that
you
there's
that the
no
richest man in the
historical
world was
record
not
for
European?
like
Is that
any
why?
tribe in
Okay,
Africa.
what about algebra? What about algebra?
What about it?
That's
What about it?
obvious. That's obvious. Algebra was created by the Arabs.
I'm not talking shit about the Arabs. I'm talking shit about Haitians. I will concede that
get the
Arabs.
race wrong.
I will
So
concede.
you're saying Haitians. You're saying Haitians are in the position that they are because of themselves, right? And not because of
Yeah, yeah.
actually being slaves and having
Yeah,
their land like
correct. Well,
literally
why
raped and
were they
pillaged by the
slaves?
French.
Were
This
they?
man's
Wow,
fucking
I guess
dumb.
God created the world, and the Haitians were created eating mud. Or do you
Bruh,
think that
No, no, no,
everything
no,
has
no.
an
already
origin?
The Haitians
fucking
were
explained
slaves.
this to
The Haitians were
you.
simply slaves just because the white
Oh.
Europeans were able to conquer them
How?
easier.
How
Like
did they
you're
conquer them? How did they conquer them?